Hello there amazing viewers and subscribers, and welcome to a brand new exciting Doctor Who video for today, and it is the start of my DVD archive series. So I asked a couple of days ago if anyone would be interested if I did an archive series about all the DVDs, and I had really good positive feedback on it. So I thought, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to release the first video today and then basically continue the series on different days of each week. So for today's video, we'll be looking at the DVD Archive Part 1, which is basically from 1999 to 2002. So we'll be looking at the first beginning of the DVD range, and then after this part 2 will be on 2003, then part 3 will be on 2004. The reason I'm combining 1999 to 2002 is because not many DVDs came out during the first 2 years of the DVD range, and it wasn't until 2001 the DVD range just kind of started basically releasing 5 to 6 DVDs per year. And I will be going through the days and months these DVDs came out back in those years as well. I have done my research on these. I was going to do the American releases as well, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of the American stuff apart from the Fantastic Bundle, well, the Fantastic Lot I kind of bought a few days ago. So without further ado, let's dive into the very first, or should I say the beginning of the Doctor Who DVD range. So in 1999, Doctor Who started coming out on DVD, and it wasn't until the 1st of November until the very first official Doctor Who DVD came out, which was, of course, the special edition of Doctor Who, The Five Doctors. So this was actually the very first ever Doctor Who DVD release, and it, again, as I said, it did came out on the 1st of November. Now, for a very, very good start to the DVD range, you have a fantastic story. Now, people have moaned about the DVD artwork because it's just silver, it doesn't go like to the roundels, but this was the very first beginning of the DVD range, and when you get to the actual DVD, when you put the disc in, you go straight into the DVD menu, we have a fantastic 3D animation of the TARDIS console from this story, which is absolutely brilliant. Now, The Five Doctors, I absolutely love this story. It is brilliant. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. I just love The Five Doctors. I've done a review on The Five Doctors quite a few times. I've done so many reviews on it. I even did the fantastic 40th anniversary version when it came out in 2023 in Doctor Who The Collection Range Season 20. And I absolutely love it. And I do love the story to now. But this was the very first ever Doctor Who DVD release here in the UK. And it's a really great start, I have to say. It really is. So that's the start of the DVD range, just with The Five Doctors. And then the year was 2000, believe it or not. And the second DVD came out. Basically 12 months and 12 days later, on the 13th of November 2002, we had Doctor Who The Robots of Death. Now, this was the first Tom Baker DVD. So the first DVD was basically a multi-Doctor story, which is a great way to start. So going from a really great story to go to The Robots of Death, which is basically a murder mystery story, it's actually another good call, because Robots of Death, it is one of my favourite stories. I just love Robots of Death. Kill the Doctor. Oh look, there's a mouse in the cupboard. So for an actual proper second DVD run, I think they've done a really great choice picking The Robots of Death, which is another great story. Absolutely brilliant and amazing. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. So that was the second DVD range. So in 1999 and 2000, you had 2 Doctor Who DVDs in your DVD collection. So 2001 came about, and it was another great year for Doctor Who DVDs, because not only do we get one, but we ended up kind of getting about 5 or 6 DVDs in 2001. So the very first DVD came out on the 29th of January 2001, and they kind of went for a story that basically did so well in 1999 on the repeats on BBC Two. So back in the 90s, Doctor Who wasn't airing, but they did like repeats of Doctor Who stories. And this one did so well, in fact, they decided to bring it out on DVD in 2001. And the story itself is, of course, Spearhead from Space, which is just about to be released as part of Doctor Who The Collection Season 7, which is another great story. And I love Spearhead from Space. It is a great introduction to a new Doctor. it is a great introduction to the new year because 1970 is when everything changed for Doctor Who because the show went into colour. You've got John Pertwee as the third Doctor, we've got Unit, and every single one of the stories are brilliant, amazing. So the third DVD release for Doctor Who in general, not just classic Who, like all of Doctor Who, is Spare for Space, and it is another iconic way to jumpstart it. It's absolutely brilliant. So this was actually the third release of the DVD range. So we have got for the beginning of it, we have a brilliant multi-Doctor story that came out on the 1st of November to 1999. Then on the 13th of November, we had The Robots of Death. And then, of course, we have Spare for Space on the 29th of January in 2001. So technically, your DVD collection would have looked really good with a 5th Doctor story, with a 4th Doctor, and a 3rd Doctor. But it wasn't until the 26th of February, a month and a few days later, we had the 4th DVD release of Doctor Who. And the way they picked it was a really good one because we jumped back into the 80s with Remembrance of the Daleks. Again, such a iconic story. I love Remembrance. It is a fantastic story to feature a Dalek civil war. The 7th Doctor being Chessmaster McCoy. And I really love the DVD menu because they do play the McCoy theme in it as well after going from the 1980s to straight to the McCoy one. And you see the Daleks coming out of the spaceship and you got, farts. I just love this story. So this is what the DVD looks like. And of course at the back and the side. So this was actually the 4th release. So we go from an 80s story to 2 70s stories, then back into an 80s story. I kind of like the way they have released the collection range, because once we started with the collection range back in 2018, we started with season 12, then we went to season 19, so we went from 70s to 80s, then 80s to 70s, and then back to 80s. So the DVD range kind of did exactly the similar thing, which was another great choice, I have to say. Again, it's just such a great story. So yeah, that is basically the 4th DVD release, Remembrance of the Daleks, in the collection. And then on the 18th of June, several months later, the 5th DVD release came out, and it was another 80s story starring the 5th Doctor. So we've kind of gone from a 5th Doctor to a 4th Doctor to a 3rd Doctor to a 7th Doctor, and then back to the 5th Doctor. And the story that came out on DVD was, of course, the Case of Androzani. Now, the Case of Androzani, it is my favourite Peter Davison story. It is my favourite regeneration story, I have to say. And I really do love this story because it makes the Doctor kind of suffer in this kind of sense, because the 5th Doctor always tries to play it safe, and in this story he actually does suffer because he's dying from spectrotoxemia. In halfway through part 3, you do see the start of the Doctor trying to hold back the regeneration that we see the modern Doctors do. So yeah, for a 5th DVD release, The Case of Androzani was another great choice, and to actually have a DVD release with Peter Davison and Nicola Bryant, it was such a great choice, I have to say. And of course, it is the very first regeneration story that came out on DVD. So fans got to see a regeneration story back in 2001. It's, again, an absolutely great. Now, these DVD covers, they're just kind of like photoshops of episodes and stuff, where you don't get to like really good artwork until a lot later on in the range. But yeah, this is actually fantastic for the DVD range, and it's the 3rd release of 2001. Again, absolutely brilliant. So then, of course, in August, of the 13th of August, we have the 6th DVD release of classic Doctor Who, or just in Doctor Who. And they kind of went with another regeneration story. And it was, of course, the TV movie. Paul McGann's debut as the 8th Doctor. And they've literally released it on DVD for us for the very first time. Now, since it's released, it's been released once more on DVD, and it's been released once on Blu-ray. So the DVD release, I should say it's technically been released 3 times because it's in the regeneration box set. But yeah, this was actually another great start. So we have the 1996 TV movie. So we have 2 regeneration stories in the range, which is absolutely brilliant. So we have an 8th Doctor release, which is, again, absolutely a great choice. So that is basically the 6th DVD release in the collection. So I will show you what it looks like when in the release order, comparing it to the actual order of the stories it's supposed to be in. And then the final DVD for 2001 was released on the 15th of October, and they kind of went with a Colin Baker story. So in the range so far, we've had 2 Peter Davisons, 1 Tom Baker, 1 John Pertwee, one McCoy, and basically we had McGann. So for the final DVD release of basically 2001, they give us a Colin Baker story, and it is, of course, Vengeance on Varos. So this was the very first official DVD for Colin Baker. And to actually go from a story that's so much darker, so much innocent, and basically it's my second favourite Colin Baker story because I just love Vengeance on Varos. I love Still. It is a fantastic film. As a DVD release, it's absolutely brilliant. So that is basically the 7th DVD release in the whole region of the DVD range so far in 2001, which is absolutely brilliant. So in 2000, at the end of 2001, we ended up with 7 Doctor Who DVDs since 1999, being The Five Doctors, Robots of Death, Spec from Space, Remembrance of the Daleks, the Case of Androzani, the TV movie, and of course, Vengeance on Varos. And then the big years started for us. In 2002, not only do the DVD range carry on, but we end up with 2 60 story. Yes, so this year in 2002, we had 2 60 stories. One story with Patrick Troughton and one story with William Hartnell. So it's actually quite nice because by the time we get to 2002, we do have one story featuring one of the out of the first 8 Doctors, which is absolutely brilliant. So the very first DVD to come out was, of course, on the 14th of January 2002, and it was straight into a 60 story with, well, not only is it one that I absolutely love, but it's one I think is phenomenal. It's absolutely brilliant. It's got some great moments in it. So the DVD they released for us for 2002 is, of course, The Tomb of the Cybermen. So we end up with a Cyberman story. So we've already have a Dalek story. So to go into this for 2002, going straight into a fantastic, amazing story from Patrick Troughton is absolutely brilliant. And again, this was the first release of 2002. And it was actually the 8th DVD release in the collection range as total for the DVDs. Again, Tomb of the Cybermen, it's got some great moments in it, like when you got the Cybermen coming out of the ice tombs, you've got that fantastic music, that do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And this was actually the very first time I've watched this story, because this used to be my dad's copy of the story. So this was my dad's copy until he gave me his DVD collection back in 2015. I absolutely love Tomb of the Cybermen. It is a great story, absolutely brilliant. Set on the planet Teros, where basically they're trying to find the last remains of the Cybermen. Patrick Troughton is brilliant in this story, absolutely brilliant, and I absolutely love it. I really do. So yeah, that was the first DVD release of 2002. The second DVD release came out like 3 months after, on the 8th of April. So the 8th of April, we had another Tom Baker story released, and they've gone from a season 14 story for Tom, so we end up with a season 12 story. Now, when you think of season 12, you've got like Robot, The Ark in Space, The Santon Experiment, Genesis of the Daleks, and Revenge of the Cybermen. So the very first official DVD release for this story was actually from The Ark in Space. Now, The Ark in Space, as you can see, is signed by Tom Baker, and I picked this up from a Comic-Con, and I got told it was generally Tom Baker's proper autograph, so I do have Tom's autograph in the collection. Now, The Ark in Space, it is another great story. I love the Rowan. The Rowan are phenomenal. I love the story. It's a very atmospheric story. It's like a very based on Jacide story, like we see for a lot of the Troughton stories, but to have Tom Baker in a based on Jacide story, absolutely brilliant. It really is just pure brilliant and absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely genuinely love it. It's just such a great story. So yeah, The Ark in Space was the 9th DVD release for Doctor Who. And then, of course, in July 2002, we had the 3rd DVD release of 2002, which is, of course, another John Pertwee story. So we end up with John Pertwee's first story back in the year 2001. So a year later, we had another John Pertwee story. And the story they gave us for this fantastic occasion was Carnival of Monsters. Again, the TARDIS basically gets stuck inside a miniscope that was banned by the Time Lords, because basically people used to go and capture innocent alien beings. In this story, we had a bunch of humans kidnapped, we had Jurassics, we had an appearance of basically, as you all know, a fantastic Ogron. So we had a cameo appearance of an Ogron and a Cyberman. This story is absolutely brilliant. My favourite part is definitely part 2, when you see the Jurassics kind of crash out of the mud and you just got that kind of dinosaur sound and like that. Is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Carnival Monsters is absolutely brilliant. And there is an alternative version to part 2, because when this story is being broadcast in Australia, they accidentally sent it with the Delaware theme. Now, we do have basically the Derbyshire theme, but the Delaware theme is a different total of the Doctor Who theme. And they actually sent it and released it on DVD with the original DVD release. And unfortunately, it wasn't released on the special edition version that came out years later, but it did come back in Doctor Who Collection Season 10. I love the Delaware theme. The Delaware theme is absolutely brilliant. I love it. I wish they kind of had it and it would have been absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I absolutely love it. See it, Carnival Monsters. It was the 3rd release of 2002. So in October of 2002, they give us a 4th DVD release, which is, and again, absolutely fantastic. So the 4th DVD release was, of course, another William Hartnell, well, a William Hartnell story. The first William Hartnell story, I should say, which is the second 60 story to be released on DVD. And the story they give us is from the very first season. And the story itself is the Aztecs. Now, the Aztecs, it is my favourite historian episode of Doctor Who, because you've got William Hartnell giving that line, "You cannot change history, not one line. Believe me, I know. I know." I just absolutely love this story. Set in 15th century Mexico. I've done a review on this story quite a few times, and I've said how good it is. And it really is a good story. I absolutely genuinely love it. It is brilliant, honestly. If you haven't seen the Aztecs, you can actually pick up the special edition when you see it a bit later on in the archive for the year 2011. But I absolutely love it. The Aztecs is a fantastic, phenomenal story, and I just genuinely love it. It's fantastic. And that is the 4th release of 2002. So for 2002, we end up having one final release in November of 2002. So in the November of 2002, we had Resurrection of the Daleks released. Now, Resurrection of the Daleks, it is a great story. Now, the one thing this story really needs is updated laser effects. Because when you watch them fighting the Daleks, you just got the Daleks doing the extermination with the ray, and you see people dying. But when you see people with the Dalek troopers and the normal guns, and they're just there going, beep, beep, boom, like that, you don't see lasers in the effects. So when this story was re-released back in 2011, I really wanted it to have updated effects, but it didn't. They never give the updated effects, and I don't get why they didn't give it updated effects. But I'm hoping when it comes out in the collection range for season 21, they give it some good special effects. And this was the final release of the year 2000, which was absolutely flipping brilliant. So they ended it on a bang. We have a Dalek story. Now, Resurrection of Daleks, some people hate it because I have seen people give it such a bad review. I, on the other hand, I love it because it's got some great moments in it. It carries on from where we left off seeing Davros in Destiny of the Daleks. Now, when this DVD came out, and I first watched the story, it was literally straight after I watched Destiny of the Daleks. So I remember I watched that story with my dad and my granddad when we went to see them in Market Drayton. And I absolutely fell in love with the story. It was absolutely brilliant. Was it Swallowing Coat? When I watched it with my granddad and my dad. I can't remember where it was, but I remember watching it with me, dad and granddad, Destiny of the Daleks, and then straight this DVD came out in the year 2002, so I remember watching it, and I fell in love with the story, because I love the bit with the Mevrodan virus, I love the Daleks in this one, and I love seeing Davros's second death in the series, where you got him going, "I am not a Dalek, I am Davros!" Yeah, I absolutely love it. It is just a great story, it really is. So that is basically the DVD release for basically 1999 to 2002. So, without further ado, let me show you what it looked like in the collection. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, so this is what the DVD range looked like on the shelf in release order from 1999 to 2002. So, to give you a quick recap, the first DVD was released on the 1st of November 1999, which is the 5 Doctors, and this is the special edition. Not the one that we all know and love. Well, it is with the Mr. Whippy effect. My favourite version is still the 40th anniversary that came out in 2023. Absolutely brilliant. Then 12 months and then 12 days later, we had, on the 30th of November, the Robots of Death release, which is another great choice and the first 4th Doctor story to be released in the range. And then 2 months later, on the January the 29th of 2001, we had Sparehead from Space. Again, as I said, this story was basically released because of how well it did on a repeat back in 1999 on BBC Two. Now, Sparehead from Space, again, it's another iconic story. I cannot wait to get Doctor Who Collection Season 7, sorry, because again, it is another great story, and I absolutely love it. It really is. The 4th DVD release came out on the 26th of February 2001, which is Remembrance of the Daleks. Again, another iconic story. I love the Dalek Civil War, and to have this as the first McCoy seat story is another great choice, because this story and The Curse of Fenric are my two favourite McCoy stories back to back. And I just love how this is a fantastic start to Chessmaster version of the Doctor. I absolutely love it. The 5th DVD release came out in the year 2000 on the 18th of June, which is, of course, The Caves of Androsani, the second DVD to star Peter Davison as the 5th Doctor, and it's his final story, which is, again, an absolutely brilliant. I love The Caves of Androsani. It's a cracking story. Then, of course, the 6th DVD release came out in 2001, was on the 13th of August, and it was the TV movie. I just love the TV movie. It's a great story. I always dress for the vacation. I never liked this planet, Doctor. And this is the very first story to feature the Master on the DVD range, because we didn't really have any of the stories with the Master apart from the 5 Doctors for Anthony Ainley. So this is another good story, and the first proper official Master story, because the 5 Doctors, you do get to see a Dalek and a Cyberman. So you do get to see some of the big villains. And then the final DVD of 2001 came out on the 15th of August, as you will know, on the 15th of October, sorry, which is a Colin Baker for Vengeance on Varos, the first 6th Doctor story to be released on DVD. Again, it's another great choice because it is a cracking story. Then in the year 2002, we had, on the 14th of January, we had The Tomb of the Cybermen. One of my favourite stories, honestly, it absolutely is. And something's come through the post from the story today, and I was going to do an unboxing video, but I wanted to make sure that it was okay. I have actually got now the figure of the Cyber Controller from the story. Again, absolutely brilliant. I love the Cyber Controller. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, and Tomb of the Cybermen, again, is another iconic story to me. Again, it's got some great scenes, and it was the first DVD release of 2002. And then, of course, the second DVD release came out, as I said, on the 8th of April, which is The Ark in Space, the second story to season 12, again, signed by Tom Baker. I absolutely love this story. The third DVD release of 2002 was Carnival of Monsters, which came out on the 15th of July. 21st of October, we had the first official William Hartnell story to be released on DVD, which is, of course, The Aztecs. And then the final DVD to come out of the collection on DVD was Resurrection of the Daleks in November of 2002. So that's basically what it came out in release order. So let me quickly show you what it looks like on the actual chronological order of Doctor Who. And here we are in chronological order. So as you can see on the DVD range, we've got 1 Hartnell, 1 Troughton, 2 Pertwee, 2 Baker, 3 Davison, 1 Baker, and 1 McCoy, and of course 1 McGann. So that's basically what it looks like in chronological order. So we've got the Aztecs, Tomb of the Cybermen, Sparehead from Space, Carnival of Monsters, the fantastic story known as The Ark in Space, The Robots of Death, The 5 Doctors, Resurrection of the Daleks, The Caves of Androsani, Vengeance on Varos, Remembrance of the Daleks, and of course the TV movie. So that's what it actually looked like in chronological order on your DVD shelf back in the year 2002, just before 2002. So the next video we will focus on in the year 2003. And of course, we do see quite a few DVD releases for that year, as it is the show's 40th anniversary. So thank you for watching. Please do like, subscribe and share, and join me for more awesome Doctor Who content.